And just like that, we are live here at Win the Storm 2022 in Dallas, Texas. I got my friend Cameron here with me, and I'm going to jump into a podcast here with him because he's got a very unique story out of Arkansas, and I'll tell you what, you guys are going to want to meet this guy. But before I do, I got to thank my sponsor, Job Progress, for helping to put this all together. If you need a great CRM to organize your data, we suggest going over to Job Progress here at the Patrick Carr Show. Great people, jobprogress.com. Cameron, what's going on, man? How are you?
Man, it's good. It's good. It's my first Win the Storm. I love it, man. Just overwhelmed trying to be a sponge, soak up all the knowledge that I can.
Well, I think that's the right approach. You know, I think a lot of people fall into this category of thinking that, I don't know, they know everything there is to know. They've been doing it long enough to where there's nothing to learn.
Oh, man.
It sounds like to me that you're humble enough to understand, hey, listen, there's always a way to get better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's talk about getting better, all right? Because I want to talk about your company, all right? Can you give us people a little idea of where you guys were and where you're at right now and where the company is going? A little bit of everything. Give us a 50,000 overview.
Yeah. So my dad started the company when I was young. You know, I was kind of born into construction, if you will. I knew one thing's for sure. I did not want to be a roofer. Roofers, man, all the respect to those guys, man. They work so hard. I think they're the MVPs of our team, man. They work, you know, in the hot sun and cold weather, and they get it done. It's amazing what they can do. But I knew I didn't want to be a roofer. You know, I went to school at Arkansas State University. You know, once I graduated, I still didn't quite know what I wanted to do. Luckily, I kind of fell into, I was blessed enough to work with Walmart, be an assistant manager for them for a while. And, man, I had a lot of great people. I'm so stoked that they gave me that opportunity to, you know, I learned a lot, but it wasn't for me, man. You know, my purpose, I felt like, you know, my purpose wasn't to make Walmart, you know, they were already great before they had me. They didn't need me, you know. And, you know, I wanted to spend time with my family. My family's the most important thing. And, you know, I left Walmart, started working for my dad, and I asked him, I said, you know, Dad, what is it that we do? I understand we're roofers. And he told me something that I'll remember forever. He said, you know, our goal is to be the most trusted name in roofing. And so I've carried that with me, and I just do everything that I can to, you know, keep that reputation, you know, whether it's assisting people in the insurance claim process or roof inspections or whatever. I just want them to feel comfortable.
When you say that, the most trusted name in roofing, you know, the words integrity and caring and trust, these kind of things get thrown around a lot. What does it mean to you when somebody says, hey, listen, I know this company, that I trust them? What is it to you that's so important about that, and what does it mean to you when someone says that?
Well, to me, I think integrity is all about, you know, the old school integrity. You know, it's what you do when no one's looking. You know what I mean? So I try to be the same person, you know, Saturday night as I am on Sunday morning. You know, so that's a big thing. And then the second thing is I never want to make promises that I can't keep, because my dad's goal is to be the most trusted name in roofing. And if I make a promise I can't keep, I've already, you know, kind of disqualified myself as living up to that lifestyle. So to me, it's all about honoring the promises that I've made and not making promises that I cannot make. But the most important thing is, just like, you know, with this podcast, you know, I've never done a podcast before. Most people have never filed an insurance claim. You know what I mean? And so I would like to make them feel comfortable through that process, because like I said, it's their biggest asset, right? Their home. The roof is the most vulnerable feature of that home. And so they're entrusting me with that. And that's a big deal. And as a man, that gives me purpose, that someone would trust me with something like that. So I want to make sure that the homeowner is comfortable through each and every step, and that I honor, you know, my dad's verbiage, you know, be the most trusted name in roofing.
So you mentioned your family, your father. It seems like that is something that is important to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And
the most.
Do you have any children or anything like that?
I don't. I have a little sister who I'm very, very close to.
Okay.
She's the princess of the household.
Got it.
You know, she's incredibly talented. But I don't have any children. I have 2 dogs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you the question then, with your little sister and your father and the people that are close to you in your life. When you talk about the roofing industry, it can sometimes have a name, and that can be a roofing salesman or
I
roofing.
hate that.
You know what I mean?
Hate that.
So what do you want we obviously trust. You want them to. What do you want people to think of as they look at you, Cameron? if it's not your little sister, then maybe it's your daughter in a couple of years,
Right.
whatever it might be later down the road. When they think about you, what do you want them to think of as they think about Cameron?
I want them to think of a man with values, a man with a code, a man that does his best to live up to those values. I want them to think of a man that honors his word. If he says something, you can believe that he's going to keep it. I want to be. I do want to have children one day. I want to be a good father. I want to be like we was talking about earlier. Growing up, my dad, he never missed a game, but I tell you, he worked so hard. And I just remember I'd get in his work truck and there'd be Vienna sausages or crackers or whatever. All I knew is, man, I had the Jordans. I had the all-star uniform. I had everything that I ever wanted, and I'd say, hey, Dad, you work so hard, you can go out and eat. You can afford to go wherever you want. Why do you do this? And he said, hey, that's just what I like, But now as a man looking back, I realize, the sacrifices he made for me so I could have a better life. And, being a part of the company that he's built from the ground up in a way, if I can live up to, his wishes of being the most trusted name in roofing, then I'm doing the right thing.
I've never told this story on camera before, but my father died in 2009.
I'm so sorry.
Me and him were best friends, like your father and you.
Yeah.
Okay? And I never knew this about him. He was living up in Missouri, and I was down at the University of Florida. And I was living the good life at University of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want for anything. And he would send me money, and I'd always say it was for books, but he knew it wasn't for books.
Right.
And the way I know that is, if he felt like he was going to die, he left me a note, a letter, and he wrote out over a year as he kind of felt like, hey, my health is starting to go. I want him to know certain things about my life and who I was as a man.
Right.
And he wrote some stuff down about, growing up. The last time I saw him was for spring break in 2008. And I left the house, and I remember this vividly. He ran liquor and tobacco stores, all right? And so I'd left and I was going back to my fraternity with like a car full of liquor. Like I was going to go back for spring break and bring everybody's stuff. So I rush out of the house and I'm going back to University of Florida, and I forgot my jacket, all right? I had to turn around and go back and get my jacket. And my dad answered the door, gave me the jacket. It was no big deal. I never thought about that ever again, except that it was the last time I saw him.
Oh, man.
And the letter, though, he wrote out about this time. And he said, I knew my health was failing, and I closed the door, and I sat down against the door, right? And I didn't think I was going to see him again. And then he called, and I had to get his jacket. And so I had to get ready and, let him know that, hey, here's your jacket, man. You're fine. Go get him. And then it was just, and I didn't know the pain that went behind all of that. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't know that until I actually read that letter, and it's too late to say thank you for that.
Man. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I think about your story, I think about the fact that in a way you get an opportunity to tell your father thank you.
Yes.
By being the person that, the best trusted
Absolutely.
person you can be.
Right.
And many people don't get that, or some people don't get that opportunity. But immediately when you tell me, I know that, man, the Vienna sausage thing,
Yeah.
I thought, man, Dad, you sending me money, life is good.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was working a second job at a Verizon call center in Farmington, Missouri, because his company was barely getting by. Yet here he was giving me some liquor to take back to the University of Florida. Like,
Right.
that really freaking mattered,
Yeah.
But so I think that there's something to be said for that, man. I think that your father, I'm sure he's very proud of what you're trying
That
to
means a lot to me.
accomplish,
Thank
man.
you. Thank
Because
you.
you strike me as that kind of individual. Where do you want to see this thing go, man? There's a lot of ways roofing can go, man. Where do you want to see this company for you in the next 5 years? Where do you see it growing to?
Well, I know that, my dad's been doing this forever, right? We call him the gray hair because he's our encyclopedia of roof knowledge. I know he'll forget more than I'll ever learn.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to learn as much as I can for that. But as far as growth, of course, I have these ideas of, you see like Conor McGregor or Anthony here at SVG. It's incredible what he's taken his company to. And I would love to do that.
Sure.
I really would. But whether I do that or whether I stay in great, Paragould, Arkansas, or Jonesboro, whatever the case may be, if I can just be the most trusted name in roofing, and everybody that I come across, the Miss Jones that's never filed an insurance claim before and is scared to death, of filing it. What if I'm denied? What if, all these different questions in her mind. If I can make her feel comfortable through this insurance claims process, that it's not a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. It's it's the roof after all. But to realize, Cameron is taking care of me, much like my dad always took care of me, growing up. And not that I'm trying to be anybody's fault. I'm not trying to say that, but I want people to feel comfortable, safe, and secure with me. And I think that's how I've become the most trusted name in roofing. Whether that's on a global scale, or whether that's in my slice of heaven in Paragould, Arkansas. We have the nicest Dollar General you've ever seen. Whatever the case may be, I just want to be the most trusted name in roofing and make connections with people. I want them to remember long before or long after I put on the roof. I want them to feel like, if they could feel comfortable to call me with anything that they needed. I've got customers. Mr. Fred Turner, I'll name drop. I met him, and he's a great customer of mine. And I can only imagine what he thought when I knocked on his door. We put on his roof, and the other day he told me he loved me. And I was like, I love you too, Mr. Turner. But I meant it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is. It's amazing the connections you make, and to me, that is I feel way more my purpose in life than I was at Walmart or anything I've ever done. And so I consider myself really blessed and lucky. A lot of people go through life and they don't know what it is they want to do. And I never thought if you would have said, hey, Cameron, roofing's what you need to do. But please don't make me carry up the bundle of shingles up the ladder. I don't want to do that. But, making connections with people just like now, that's what I want to do, continue to make connections and grow.
Well, I think you're going to have the opportunity to do that based on the fact that
man.
I think you carry yourself with a level of, integrity is not the right word. I'm looking for it. Joe off camera right there, I think of humble, but yet there's a strength in that as well. I don't know how exactly the word I'm looking for. Joe's kind of behind the cameras right here, everybody. The final question I have for you is this, man, okay? There can be a lot of challenges as you grow a company.
Oh, yeah.
And there can be things that tear you away from maybe what you began the company with. You want to start with integrity, but then the money starts flowing in and people change. All right.
Yeah.
How then, as this thing grows, and I undoubtedly believe it is going to grow for you. I got a feeling because I've interviewed a lot of people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
But how do you personally balance then the need for the morality that you have and for the trusted name and keeping your father and the things that you value most with the temptation of, man, we can cut a few corners, cut cost, we can make money, we can be more profitable?
Sure.
Where do you balance that?
Well, first and foremost, I know that we as humans, we fall victim to error all the time. No one's perfect. And I've told my customers that before. I said, hey, I'm not perfect. Will mistakes happen? Maybe. But if they do, I want you to feel comfortable enough with me to call me. But I think how I balance it most is I'm a Christian. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I want him to, I believe that he loves us all. But you can only imagine, him dying on the cross. I'm sure that there's some people that he looks down and he's like, man, he doesn't agree with their actions or how they condone business. I want him to like me. It's one thing to love somebody. I know there's people, in your family you may love, but, maybe they act a certain way and you don't necessarily enjoy them. I want the Lord to like me. And one of the biggest things that, besides the vision board that we talked about earlier, picture my family, dogs, that kind of thing, is when I look in the mirror, my confidence comes from what I see looking back at me. And at the end of the day, I believe those people that cut those corners, when they look in the mirror, and I don't believe deep down they enjoy what they see. I believe we were all created to do good. And I believe that people that do bad, I think they're letting themselves down. I really do. I think when they look in themselves in the mirror, I don't think they're happy with what they see. So, if I keep my values, I'm happy with what I see. I think I'll always do the right thing.
Well, you make a good point there when I think about people. I think it's a good way to go through life to believe that both you and the people you come in contact with are genuinely after doing something good.
Right, absolutely.
Now, what they may do is they may have a different approach to making that happen. But I'd like to believe that genuinely most people don't wake up in the morning going, how can I be as malicious as possible to the world around me?
I believe that.
I think that you embody that of, hey, listen, I'm going to try to do good. I'm not going to be perfect. I am going to make mistakes. But it sounds to me as though you say, hey, there's an effort there to stand above the fray and to do something the right way.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this, man. It's been a real pleasure being able to sit down with you.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate
and
that.
I think that what you're going to find is that you're going to have a lot of success, and the people with you are going to have success. And I have no doubt that with you, you're going to lift up the people around you. I think there's some purpose in that for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I look forward to seeing. Let's make sure we get together at another conference or together to figure out how we can, work together to make that happen, because there's something special, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Cameron.
that.
I appreciate your time, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.